Hi, welcome to Cute Things by Rebecca. I am Rebecca, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little applique quilted bag. So this project comes in two hoopings, and you want to start with the back first. These are the supplies that you'll need for the entire project. So I have a cutaway hooped in my hoop. I'm going to be using batting, cotton batting, and my back panel fabric. I have them cut at 6 by 8. I'm doing a 5 by 7 bag, so I always cut generous. So I have enough fabric for my project. So that's what you need for the back side and the first part of our project. Then for the rest of the bag, you'll have a top section and a bottom section and a zipper. The top section I have cut at 2 by 8, and I have some batting, same. And the bottom I have cut at 6 by 8, and I know it's generous, but that's what I do. You can certainly use the placement lines to better suit your needs or have a more precise cut. So that's for the front main, and then I have 3 pieces of lining. The top lining and the bottom front lining, I have them prepped. I have them ironed over at about 1/4 of an inch. So you want to do that for the top panel and the bottom panel of the front. And then I have a back 6 by 8. And then since this is an applique, this is applique here. I have just random applique pieces. I will go by the placement lines when I put that on the design, but scraps work great for that. So, and I'm going to put a little cute little clasp on it, so I have that ready to go. So let's go ahead and get the back of the hoop loaded into your machine, and I'm going to run that first step, which is a placement step. Okay, so here's the placement step. Now if you're using batting, which I'm going to use, I'm going to place that down over the entire placement step. I'm going to run the next step, which is going to tack this down. So now that is tacked down, I'm going to trim my batting all the way around close to the edge. This just is going to prevent the extra bulk in the seams. I'm going to go ahead and trim that, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. Okay, so now that's all trimmed up and ready to go. I'm going to take my main back panel and just lay it over the top of it and run that last step, which is going to do the quilting. Okay, so now it's all done. It's quilted. This back portion is done, so I'm going to remove it from the hoop. I'm just going to set it aside for when we put the back on. So now what you want to do is go ahead and load up your main bag. And the first step to that is a placement step. So grab your hoop and put it in the machine and run that first step. Okay, so there's the placement step. Now you want to take your zipper and line the center teeth of your zipper up to that centered line right there. I'm going to secure it with tape and put it back in the machine. Not all zippers are the same width, so be sure to go by the center zipper placement. Just line up your teeth, and you can use a number 5 zipper on these bags. Most of my bags are universal like that. You can use either or. I'm just using this number 3 zipper because it matches. Anyways, I'm going to put that in the machine and tack that zipper down. Okay, so the zipper is tacked on. The next step on the machine is going to make a straight line right across there. So we're going to work on the top part of the bag main. So what you want to do is take your, see how you have your pretty fabric, just flip it over so it's pretty side down, line it up to the edge of that zipper right there, secure it with tape, and run that line. Okay, so it ran that line. Now you want to take your batting and line it up to that line there. And the next step on the machine is going to tack the batting down. So I'm going to run that and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so it tacked down the batting. Now what I'm going to do to reduce the bulk of that is trim the batting all the way around on all the way around the edge here. I'm going to do that now and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I trimmed up all the batting. Now you want to just take your fabric and fold it up. The next thing on the machine is it's going to run a line and tack all of this down. So I'm going to do that now and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I just tacked everything into place, so no shifting. The next step on the machine is the quilting. Okay, the bottom portion of the bag is just like the top. So next it's going to run a straight line. So what you want to do is take your main fabric, pretty side up, and then just flip it over up and line it up with this edge of the zipper right there. Okay, so that line is ran. Now you want to take your batting and line it up like so and run the next step. It's going to stitch all the way around so we can trim up the bulk. Okay, now I'm going to just trim all this extra batting away. Okay, so now that it's trimmed, I'm going to go ahead and fold my fabric down, and now the next step on the machine is just going to stitch around it and tack this down. Now it's all tacked down. The next is the quilting for this main part, so I'm going to go ahead and run that. Okay, so now the quilting and everything is done. Now we're ready for the applique. So the next step on the machine is going to do placement steps for the little flowers. So I will run that and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, so my placement steps are done for my flowers. Now take your little scrap piece of fabric. I just have scrap, and place it over your placement. I went ahead and did the tacks all individually so you don't have to, you know, cut exact and stop and start your machine. So the next step on the machine is going to tack this down. Just make sure your entire placement's covered with that. I added fusible fleece to the back of mine so I can have a little more poofy poof on there. So I will run that and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so that flower is tacked on. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim it real close up and I'll show you what that looks like. And then the next two are just like this. I won't stop for every one of them, but the next step on the machine is going to be a tack for this flower. So you'll want to take your piece and cover the entire design and then go to the next. Okay, that's what it looks like after I trimmed it. Now I'm going to move to the next flower. Okay, all my little applique pieces are finished. Now the next designs after that are the actual flower stitching part. They're all separate, so you can use whatever color you want. So I'm going with the purple theme, so I'm not even going to change my thread. I'm going to run those and I'll show you what that looks like. If you wanted to skip the applique part. These little flowers are cute on their own too. So if you're not a fan of applique, you don't have to do it. You can just run the design. Okay, all the applique is done. So the next step on the machine is for the lining. All lining is done on the back of the hoop. Right now at this point, I like to clean up my zipper area so I kind of have an idea where my lining needs to go. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up the zipper area. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, so my zipper area is cleaned up a bit. Now you want to take your top lining piece and remember how you ironed a section over. So you want to take that. Your pretty side will be facing up. So your ironed piece, everything is, the pretty side is up, facing towards you. So you want to just line it up just below this zipper, because that's the zipper line where it tacked down. Like so. Make sure you have your edges good. I'm going to tape it because it's the back of the hoop and things like to shift when you move things around. So I'm going to go ahead and tape that. I think that's where I want it to be. Okay, so the top lining is tacked down. Now you want to do the same for the bottom portion. Your iron edged, fold it down, pretty side up, line it up. It's right about there. Right, it's gonna stitch right there, so you want to just keep it right around there. Right above the zipper line. I forgot what I was trying to say. See, I had this one down just a little too far, but it's fine. It's not going to be in the way of the zipper. And then secure it with tape. And put it in your machine and secure that bottom lining on. Okay, so the bottom part is tacked on. The next step on the machine is a placement step for your tabs. You can put your tabs anywhere you'd like. I'm going to put mine right here. I'm going to run the placement step and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So here is the placement step. Like I said, you can put these anywhere you want, but I'm going to go ahead and use mine right there. Take your tab or your hardware and put it right where that placement step is. When you're using hardware, make sure it's far away from the edge enough so that your foot doesn't catch on it. Make sure your raw edges of your tab is on the outside of your bag. I'm going to put some tape there. And the next step is just going to tack this down. So my tab is secure. The next step on the machine are tabs up here if you want them, but like I said, you can put them anywhere you want. So now you want to open your zipper, and we're going to put the back part of the bag on. So grab your first hooping piece, and what you want to do is right sides together. So we're going to turn this over, but you want to line up your lines with the lines of the main bag. So line it up, tape it, watch it as it's in the machine to make sure your alignment's pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and run that next step. It's going to piece those together. Okay, so now your bag is sewn together. Turn to the back side of your hoop. Now for the last piece, your main lining piece. So you want to make sure it's right sides together, so pretty sides together over the entire design. Secure it with tape and run that next step. It's going to leave an opening for us to turn. Okay, so now we're all done with that part of the bag, we can take it out of the chute. This little opening here, I'd like to cut my fabric straight up and fold it. I'm going to trim around the bag, leaving a little bit extra for the zipper because we don't want the zipper coming out when we're turning our bag. I will show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, so the bag is all trimmed. Now you want to turn your bag through that opening. We're almost done. So when it's time to seal up your bag, you can take it to the sewing machine and sew that closed, or you can use, I use this stuff, it's called Stitch Witchery, and I'm going to melt it into the seams so it seals it up real good. So just take your seams and fold them in. Nice and neat. And I'm going to go iron that in real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so I sealed my seams. Now you want to open the zipper the rest of the way and turn through the zipper. And we should have this cute little applique flower bag. Look at it. Turned out cute. So I'm just pushing out the edges, corners. And there you have it, a quilted applique bag. Thanks for watching.